Hello and welcome to a step in the box instructional video. The purpose of this video is to just go over an example of one of the 3D modeling projects, being the name badge. So first thing we need to do in TinkerCAD is create a new design, and we'll be doing this reasonably quickly. So we are going to use proper dimensions here. So the first thing we are going to need is a ruler. And now we just need to think about the shapes. The task sheet says that we need a base shape, which is a rectangular prism, which needs to be, so I'm just panning and zooming around there. I'm going to click on these dimensions here, and they are 70 in the X and 40 in the Y. And then in the Z, the task sheet said 3 millimeters. So that's my base rectangle, which is 70 in the X, 40 in the Y, and 3 millimeters high, which is the Z axis. Now over here, I could put the bottom left-hand corner at the origin 0, 0 if I like. So I could click on these ones that are shaded in green. So that's the distance in that plane to the beginning of the job. So if I put 0, 0, so now what you'll see is I've got my bottom left-hand corner of my job in the origin, which is 0, 0, 0. Okay, great. So pan out from there. Alrighty, so that's my base block. So now what I'm going to do, the task sheet set is my choice of end shapes. So that's fine. I'm going to keep it simple. I'm going to put a round roof, which is a half cylinder. Now with the turning there, you just need to move until you can see the guidelines come up, and I want to rotate it in that axis 90, and then I want to rotate it in that axis 90, and I will need to make it 3 millimeters high instead of 20, so I'll make it 3. Great, so I need to make this half semicircle fit the end of this. So I know that the distance in the Y plane here is 40, so I can make the distance of this half semicircle, which is going to go on the end, I need to make that 40, you see, in the same plane. Great, and I've already made it 3 millimeters high, but what I need to do now is I need to put that half semicircle on the ground plane. So I need to make the bottom of the job at Z equals 0. So what I need to do is go in and find where my Z0 height is. Sometimes that can be a little bit tricky to find, but you'll see that it's over here in the -5. So I'm just going to put 0 there, and now this blue half semicircle is on the same plane as this. Now you want to avoid dragging and dropping like this. It's very bad practice. You might as well learn how to use TinkerCAD properly, so that you get, do some decent proper engineering moves and use things with the coordinates. So the easiest way to do that is to grab both of those. So just select them, and we're going to go up and use the align tool. I click the align tool and I have all of my align buttons here. So this is the Y plane, and that's all I want to do at the moment is the Y plane. I could put them there like that, but see, that would align both those edges there. You could do that if you wish, and then what I can do is move them across, and then I'm going to have to click on one of them and move it away. That's it, like that. Good, excellent. Now if I don't want that 10 there, I could make that a little bit less. Could make that 5, and then I might have to I'm using my arrow keys there. In actual fact, yeah, that might be okay, or maybe I'll make it 8. Okay, great. There we go. So move it across. Excellent. So now what I need to do is create a cylinder, and that's going to be for my hole, so I can put my keychain through it. So I'm going to make that, let's say, 4 millimeters. So I'm going to change that in the Y and then change that in the X to 4. Doesn't really matter what I change it in the Z, but it's only 3 millimeters thick, so I could make it 5 if we like. There we go. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to group these two first over here, and so I'm going to use my group tool. There we go, I've done that. And now this cylinder hole is going to become my hole to push my key ring through, or my chain, or whatever it is I'm going to use. So what I'm going to do is highlight both of those two now, and I'm going to use my align tool again, and I want them to be aligned in the Y plane, okay, which is this one right here, okay, and it looks like they already are aligned in the Y plane. Great, so I'm going to click away from that, and then I'm going to click on this, and I could move that by hand, so I could count and do it by eye, or what I could do is I could select this shape, and then I can put it exactly on the origin. So I'm going to type in 0 there. So now this red base shape is the left hand side of it is exactly in the X plane X0, and then that means now I can use the coordinate system. So I can see here that the edge of this hole here is exactly 5 millimeters in, so this distance here is 5. Let's say I want it 3, which would be the minimum you'd probably want. So now I know it's exactly 3. Okay, so it's best not to just have a flying guess and drag it. We really need to be learning how to use it with the dimensions, because when we work our way up to complicated shapes, we're really going to need that. Okay, so now I'm going to click and drag both of those, and I'm going to group them. Excellent. Now I don't like the red, I'm going to make it a yellow color, just easier to see. It doesn't determine the color in the 3D print, of course. Okay, great. So that's my base shape with my choice of shapes at the end here, and I have decided that I'm not going to bother having any other shape at the other end at the moment. So what we want to do now is put my initials in it. So the easiest way to do that is with the text tool over here on the right hand side. So I'm going to drag the text across, and then you've got your dialog box up there, top right hand corner. So I'm going to put my initials, or let's say I'm going to put my whole name in there. Let's say Tony. Okay. Now what I need to do is you could click and drag it like this, but once again I strongly advise that you don't do that. Let's do some maths. So it said in the task sheet that your name should be centered in the badge, and it should have a 5 millimeter border. Okay, well let's work back from there. So we know in the Y plane we've got 40 millimeters. So if we have a 5 millimeter top and bottom border, that's going to be 40 minus 5, which will be 30. Great, so we know this in the Y plane can be 30. The Tony, or whatever your name is, can be 30. It's currently 26, so I'm going to make it 30. Great. So now in the X plane, well, that's a little bit different, but we know the base, it's got the curve on the left hand side now, but originally it was 70. So if we put this in the middle of that 70, that would be 70 minus 5, which would be 60. So it's currently 80, so we make it 60. Great. So what we need to do now is we need to center that. So we're going to grab all of that, and we're going to align it, and we're going to align it in the Y plane, and then we're going to align it in the X plane. But now, because I've grouped this all as one shape over here, it's not actually quite centered. So it's an extra 8, so it'll be half of 8, so it'll be 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Great, excellent. Okay, so let's have a bit of a look at that. So that's correct. So the Tony's got a 5 millimeter border either side, and it's perfectly centered, and that's what the task sheet asked me to do. Great, that's excellent. Now the task sheet said I could either have it embossed or I could have it cut through. So at the moment the text Tony is embossed. Now it's probably a little bit big. 10, well, we've got 3 for the base, and then 10, so that would be protruding 7. So we could make that protruding another 3 would be 3 plus 3 would be 6. So we've got the base is 6, and then an extra 3 for that would be, sorry, the base is 3 high, and then you need to make the text a total of 6, which would give you 3 protrusion. So that's great. So that would be done if you wanted it embossed. What if you wanted it cut through? Well, it's easy. You just define the text, which I select on, and then you just tell it to define it to be a hole like that, and then you select both of them and group it. And it is now a cut through. Now what you'll see is that if I do that, the middle of the O will fall through. So you could either not worry about that, or what you could do is put a little support along the top and the bottom if you liked. So you could get a box. You could make that box, let's say 20. Oh no, let's make it 3. Okay, and let's make it 3 high. So this is just going to be support, and I'm going to put it through the middle of that. No, that's not going to look very good. So I'm going to decide that I'm not going to do that, okay, because I just don't think it's going to look very good. So what I'm going to do is use the ungroup tool up there in the top right hand side, and I'm going to click on the Tony, and I'm going to make that a solid, okay, just because I have decided that a cut through is not going to look very good. So I'm going to go with embossed, and let's see, I am allowed to add something else if I wish. So I'm going to grab a star, and what I'm going to do is maybe move this down a little bit and move it up a little bit, and to put this star on the top of the 3mm base, I would just need to raise it up 3. So currently it's 0, which is this measurement over here on the right hand side. So I'd make that 3. Obviously that's too big, so if I make it say 10 in the X and 10 in the Y, and let's say 3 in the Z, that's more like it. So I've got a star there, and if I wanted to copy that, Control-C-V, and I might put another one over there, and let's see, I'm going to put I'll just leave it at that. That's, you get the idea. So I'll make another one, Control-C-V, and I'll put that over there. Great. So I've got my 3 stars, and that's my name badge, and that's how we do it. Even though the task sheet said we did need to center it, I've modified it to put those extra adornments in. Okay, thank you. Oh, from now on, what we would need to do is we'd better off go and change the name of it up here. So if I would put there we go, just so I know what it is. So that's Tony name badge, and then if we want to download that for 3D printing, I would go export up here, and I want the whole model, STL, and it's downloaded that. And if you were going to 3D print that from here, then you would open up your slicer. In this case it's Cara, and you would open up the name badge STL file, and there it is there, and we would then be able to send that off to the 3D printer. Thank you very much.